Well, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Afternoon Morning Show. My name is Chris Mueller, and I am joined, as always, by Vinny Kiyomko Yap.
Hello.
And the lovely and talented Mrs. Megan Witzker. So
Hello.
I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to alternate between introducing you guys. Like sometimes with Vinny, sometimes with Megan. Keep everybody
guessing. She gave us a look.
It'll be a fun game.
I did see the look.
I was like, I saw it happening. I was like, I'm not going to look at her screen.
Should we do like a Corona countdown? Like bum bum ba-da-dum, bum bum bum. It's day 47 of Corona. Yeah, I just like
that would.
This
that
is.
would be fun.
So I was on a call the other day with Annie Hickman for a Catholic Dad podcast, and he was like, "Does it feel like the days are just flying by for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, not at all. Like I feel like it's just going on forever. I don't know.
It feels like the days, like while you're in the day, it's going slow, but it doesn't feel like I've been in my home for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you.
Like 5 weeks is a long time. If I were to feel like I was in my home for 5 weeks, I might start to feel like I'm crazy.
Yeah, I think you just can't look at it that way. You kind of, although I was singing "Every Day is the Same as the Next" this morning as I was making my coffee, sort of my own tune. Every day is just like the other. Every day is just the same. Yeah, I'm sort of, it is getting a little bit.
I think that's the first sign, though. I think that's the first sign of going crazy.
I think so, yeah. I am not, I know this, I'm not cut out for submarine life. I could never be a submariner. I could never be a space station guy.
No. Oh, that's an article I should have thrown in. I just saw that this morning, that there were a group of astronauts that had just come back and the world looked incredibly different after being on the International Space Station.
Crazy.
That was one of my favorite tweets. Was something to the effect of, all those people who gave up social media for Lent are going to be, what happened? Or when it was Jared Leto, the bad
Jared
Joker.
Leto.
Yes, him. He was on some sort of like weird, like silent retreat in the mountains, like for like
Leto. He does stuff like that.
Anyway, but he was gone, totally away off the grid, and then for like 3 weeks, and then came back and found out about this.
It's so funny.
That is awesome.
So Jared Leto too. Like,
yeah,
I know.
I met him once. He was kind
really.
Of a weirdo. I was at a concert.
He was kind of a weirdo. Really? That's surprising. He was kind of a weirdo. Really?
No, but
really? I don't believe you.
Okay, you see him on stage and in movies, and you're like, you're kind of a weirdo, like from that angle. But when you meet, I mean, this was 2011, when on the release of one of 30 Seconds to Mars's albums, and like I went up and had a CD, and they were like signing it, and I was talking to the guys, and you know, all the other guys were super cool, and I got to Jared Leto, and he had like white gloves on and like glasses, and mind you, it was like 8:30 at night.
I will be honest, in my mind, he's sort of a Kardashian. Like, I don't know why he's famous. All right. Like, and I'll give you, I'm the middle-aged representative here, but I don't know why, other than the Joker, which he was horrific as, in my mind. He was in Suicide Squad very briefly as the Joker, and even that was too much. And that movie was a train wreck anyway. That was Green Lantern.
Yeah, if you really wanted to peel that apart, that would be easy.
I remember I watched, and we're totally off topic already. This is great. I watched Suicide Squad on a plane because I was trapped on a plane. I thought, well, why not? It can't be as bad as everybody says. It was absolutely as bad as everyone says.
It's garbage. It's hot garbage.
It was a flaming dumpster fire of cinema. Well, hey, we actually have an afternoon morning show full of some interesting stuff, some interesting articles this week, getting back to some of our core positions such as Sphere of Robots. And I feel good about that. So I thought maybe we would jump right in with some serious sort of stuff. I don't know if it's serious, but did you see the article? So in you know, the big Christ the Redeemer statue down in Brazil?
Yeah.
Beautiful statue. One of the things that they did on Easter Sunday, apparently, was they projected like a doctor's uniform onto the Jesus statue.
Yeah.
And then images of nurses. What was your take on that? I will hold my thoughts. What was your take?
I feel like that's weird. I understand wanting to like honor people who are working hard and like sacrificing themselves, getting sick and taking it to their families. And I guess I kind of see it like Jesus, like the ultimate helper kind of thing.
Right. He's the physician.
Healer. But I just feel like that was weird. That was a weird thing to do.
Yeah, Vinny.
I was looking at it from the technical side and being like, that's a solid projector. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I will tell you that whole
I was like,
video
that's
mapping
impressive.
projector tech. I want to do that at St. Martha's, or local parish. I would love to video map the front of the church for Christmas and just have it
Oh,
be like a thing. Like every Christmas we do. I would love to
oh,
do
that
that.
would
I
be
don't. It's
so cool.
unbelievable because we have such a cool architectural
Yep,
front. Side note, yeah. So technologically, very cool.
Yes.
But
very cool.
I'm going to say I'm with you, Megan. It felt to me almost as if we were transposing our faith onto something else and projecting it literally onto Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Mm,
weird to me.
Like they could, like, it's Easter. This is literally about Christ.
What?
Like,
Yeah.
can you do it another day even? Like, if you have to do it, pick another day. I
Yeah.
don't
yeah,
And
understand.
because it wasn't just
So much to focus
dressing
on
Jesus in a
Easter as it is.
what's that?
There's so much to focus on for Easter as it is.
Right. Oh yeah. Like there's an image with like a picture of a nurse projected onto the chest of Christ,
yeah,
which is weird. And then there was one where they had him like full on doctor's outfit with like a stethoscope around his neck
Mhm.
and like a
mm,
mask. And I get he is the divine physician, right? Like that's
yeah,
true. But that's not what this was about. This was about thanking
yeah,
doctors projecting their images onto
yeah.
Jesus,
It
which
was
again,
looking at it as
there's some
more of,
self-sacrifice, there's some
yeah,
Christ-likeness, but yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it
think
was just
that
projecting onto, for the mentality sounds like it was just projecting onto a structure,
on
less of,
Sorta.
less about what the structure was and who it was. So
yeah, I think that the like putting like the doctor's clothes on Jesus, like that's probably more appropriate. Like, yes,
I thought that
Sure.
was very cool though.
like Christ be the hands of the doctors working or
It's,
whatever. Like, okay,
Right,
like
sure,
a
sure.
better step in that direction if we have to go there,
There
other
might have been a
than
cool
other
way.
people on Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, the flags of several countries affected by the outbreak were also projected on the monument. I just felt, and again, the Archbishop celebrated Mass at the base of the statue during the light show. It just seems like we're missing something important.
yeah.
Using message to send during a mass, especially.
Yes, I would agree.
Well, okay,
Um,
so that was the one thing I was confused about though, was so the Archbishop, like, was the city government doing the projection
yes,
onto the statue, and then the
yes.
Archbishop was just like, we're gonna do mass there.
I think they was a cooperative effort.
Ah,
But again, like a massive thanking doctors with a light show during mass is a weird thing because the mass is the ultimate gift. It's an act of thanksgiving
yeah.
to the Father, you know what I mean? Like through the Son, you know, it's sacrifice. The Eucharist is a thanksgiving offering, right? Like of this, it's just very, very, I don't like it. And I don't like change. I'm old. And I think that's part of
I
it.
also don't like change.
Yeah, there you go. I clutched my heart. I was like, that's where I was at.
Church.
Yes. So anyway, that I'm glad we got to talk about that. But again, the whole video mapping thing, they've done this
Very
on
cool. Very cool.
very cool. They've done it on Notre Dame where they've done
Yeah,
that. And again, it's weird because there is a lot of secular projection when
yeah.
they've done this. They've used like really interesting church buildings to do these kind of secular presentations, which I don't agree with. But if the church got their holds on this and did like some actual cool stuff, like
Yeah.
Christmas Story would be cool. Yeah.
This is where it would be cool.
Yeah.
Christmas Story would be
They could
sweet,
have just
man.
projected like a crown of thorns on him, maybe. Like,
Oh, heck yeah.
up to it. Like, they could have done a lot with that.
Yeah, there was a
Right.
better way to go about it than the way they did.
Yeah, I mean you could really have done some cool things with like the resurrected Christ, or even projecting the Easter story, the tomb and the resurrection, and then like to try to kind of make him radiant in that. Wow,
Yeah.
yeah. I think if we did that at St. Martha, because we've got these really cool arches, you could do the whole the whole Mary and Joseph going to Bethlehem and then finding the
Mm-hmm.
the
That would be
stable. I
cool.
can say stable, right? I mean, you could do some really neat stuff with the video mapping. They're
Mm.
actually, those systems are becoming more and more affordable. I've actually looked into it for Everyday Catholic, for kind of a thing where I'm looking at doing like an Everyday Catholic live.
Dang.
And how cool would it be to like video, because you can go in and like record, you can like video map a church pretty quickly and then have some stock pieces, but to be able to be talking about the mass and then have it video mapping
Dude,
like the
that's
background,
cool.
so that you could just highlight the altar when you're talking about the sacrifice
Yeah.
of like the Eucharist, or highlight the lectern, you know what I mean? And so you could really use the whole, it'd be sick.
That'd be
I'm
cool.
never going to do it because
Chris
it's
is
a
trying to
really
get
cool
the
idea.
Brad.
What's that?
Chris is trying to get real bougie.
Bougie? I don't. Moving on.
Young hip terms confuse Chris.
Anyway, but I think it is it kind of with this story though, it is interesting how we want to be profound. We just I just there was I think this was a bad take. I think it was a bad take.
From the
It's
mark.
good to thank doctors. We should thank doctors, and maybe even doing this presentation not during the mass would have been better.
Yeah.
But must have been amazing to
So
see.
common sense though too. Like we
Yeah.
don't do stuff during mass. That like
Right. No,
Yeah.
no.
Well,
No.
and I mean, in a time where people are trying to get inventive and creative with things, like, I mean, the church had no idea what to do when all this hit, and they were like, we have to do what now? We have to put mass on the internet and live stream. And even that,
Right.
like on a parish level, was like, okay, so how do we do that? And had like meeting after meeting of what that looked like.
Okay, this was not on our slate of things to talk about. The live stream mass. What's your take? I always say what's your take, and then I give my opinion. So I'm trying not to do that this show. I'm not like, what's your take? Here's what I think. Like that's, I'm terrible. Did you like it? I did. Here's what I'm telling you. Anyway. So what's your take? How are you guys doing with the live stream mass? Are you doing the live stream mass? And yes. So
I am doing both, but that's also because one day a week I'm at, like on Sunday, I'm doing the 1 o'clock Spanish mass. I'm live streaming. So like I'm there present for it, but I can't be active in it because in reality it's supposed to be me and the priest. Realistically, it's just supposed to be the priest in the room with the way guidelines are.
as long as you're 6 feet away or like 10 feet
well,
away.
yeah.
Or whatever.
But I try my best to not like respond too loudly.
Right.
Out of respect for the people who are listening. So I get both. Because in the mornings I either tune in for St. Martha's or San Francisco Solano's out in Orange County.
Right. Yep.
So
Megan, where are you going?
We have tried multiple.
Okay, that's where I was curious about this. Yes, you're church hoppers.
We're not very committed, and we're kind of church hoppers by nature, anyways.
Right.
We're
Okay.
very committed to St. Martha's, and we came up here when we were living in Fallbrook. Even like this is our home, but we're also not very committed to anything. We just kind of hop around.
Right.
But I'm trying to find one. I don't know. It's hard for me. Like I feel like we were just getting to a point age-wise with the girls where like we were sending Addie off to little church and we just had the little one and then we did mass and I was like just getting into like a finally like good parental space of participating in mass. And it's been 4 years of trying to do it. And so that like just happened. And then now we're trying to do it at home and I'm even more distracted than when we were sitting in church because at least she would sit still for a little bit of it. Like if we're at home, they're running and asking for stuff and I don't know. I saw that you posted something, Chris, and I have it open on my browser so I can read it when someone stops bugging me. And
yeah.
if there's any tips in there.
Wow, your Corona's showing. Just
every time I read something on my phone, someone comes up to talk to me again.
Oh, I know. And that is the hard thing. As my wife and I just had this conversation about teachers send kids out for recess, right? Like the teacher is not with the students for 6 hours every day. They go out for recess. They go out for centers. They go out for lunch, right? But as a parent, we're like 24/7, 7 days a week, My wife, this is so funny. I'll get back to the mass thing. My wife and I were in our room watching a show, talking to each other, hanging out for about an hour before we realized that Ben had snuck in back to his tent in our room and was there with us sleeping in the room. Like we did not know he was there. And my wife goes, wait, is someone else in here? And then we're like, what? Huh? And we're looking around. Like, there he was, just camped out. While he'd been watching, apparently he'd been watching Parks and Rec with us and had fallen asleep during it. He was just very sneaky. So anyway, I have found with the mass at home, we've hopped a little bit. We started with Father Leo paddling hug, and I love Father Leo. And so part of that was I feel like he's a member of my family, even though he's never met my family. Like he is one of my favorite people. I just treasure the times I get to be with him or talk with him. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll share Father Leo's mass with my family. And it was neat because he was doing it from his parents' basement. And I loved it because it was like, he literally starts the first one like, okay, I'm doing this from my mom's basement. So if it looks like we're in a Filipino lady's basement, it's because we're in a Filipino lady's basement. You know, and it was great. And you can hear his family like praying along. And there's something very intimate about our living room to their basement, you know, or our living at one point in the dining room, like our room to their. So I like that. I like the continuity of our home to your home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt very genuine. And then he did a couple outside, like Palm Sunday outside, and we just thought, well, the sound was a little bit off and it was hard to see, and so we jumped to Father Mike Schmitz for that one, at the University of Minnesota Duluth, and Father Mike
And
because
this week. He's on our dock
what's
for
that?
this Sunday.
I tell you what, man, you can't go wrong with Father Mike. I will say this though, Father Mike gives a long homily, which is amazing, but
Yeah.
in the context of the home mass with my littles, maybe not the best bet.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Bishop Barron, um, because my brother-in-law, Alan, who's really one of my mentors in faith, really more my brother than brother-in-law. I've known him since he married my sister when I was like 5 or something. So he's my, you know, I mean, like, I don't think you can get like, he's, you know, he's seen me run around the house in my underwear when I was like a 5-year-old. So we're brothers. Anyway, but like, he really has been talking about how good Bishop Barron has been. So we plugged in there, and I like it a lot because it's in a chapel or a church, but it's very simply presented.
Mm.
And my take has been, the more simply the mass has been presented, the easier it is for us to get into it, because it feels continuous. It
Mhm.
doesn't feel like we're watching the mass coming to you live from St. Martha's. You know, it feels
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. You know,
Yeah.
that's my
That's
thing.
that would be my one issue with the live stream stuff, is just like, depending on where they're like recording it and live streaming from, like if the camera's too far away, it feels too like disconnected. If it's too close, it's kind of like, okay, I don't know. There have been a couple of other masses that I've watched, just from like friends' parishes that are like, hey, check this out. Um, Still weird. Like, I don't think I'll ever get used to like live streaming. I've become okay with it.
I've come to
Um,
accept it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's, in all honesty, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, I have come to accept that that's where we're at, and if I don't have to go in to record because someone else is covering that day, I'll pick one that I'll know most of the people. So it's like, okay, there's this familiarity that I've got with it if I'm not watching St. Martha's. But other than that, it still feels weird to me.
Yeah.
I can't get comfortable with it.
I'll tell you what, like in some respects, it's been very profound for us. Like we, you know, and I keep going back to the Lord, I'm not worthy that you should enter under my roof, but only say the word, right? And I'm like, we're under my roof. He's here. There's something cool, and we go through the whole thing. Like we get dressed up for mass, we kneel, we stand, we respond. And yeah, it's a challenge with the little guys. I mean, I got to tell you what, it's a lot easier to deal with taking a little guy out of mass when you can just go put him in timeout. Bada bing, you know. You know, so our 2-year-old's done a couple mass timeouts.
So
But
cute.
like on Easter Sunday, yeah, oh no, yeah, he's removed to the upper room, as it were, and then he'll come back. You
That's
know,
the
I
best.
sorry, okay, all right.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, but like on Easter we had mass. We went with Word on Fire and Bishop Barron, and Bishop Barron talked about the reality of the crucifixion. Like this is something that happened. It's not a myth. Myths are in general like they kind of have like once upon a time or in a long time ago in a land far, far away, right? Like that's what a myth is like. But this is like, no, at this time in this place this happened and we were witnesses to it. And you know, I've heard that before, but it was really cool because my teens were like, after mass, we say, well, what did you hear? What stood out to you? And my teens said, wow, I really liked how he talked about. I really needed to hear that. And for me, that's a huge win. Right? I can't think of the last time we've come out of mass like present where my teens had something to say about the homily.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's not the homily, sometimes it's just the prayers of the faithful, but there's less sort of going on, so there's
Yeah.
more focus on what's happening. So I think honestly, I think it's a primer that I'm hoping will be more involved when we go back to mass at the parish, I'm hoping that we'll be more involved because we are used to focusing on what's happening.
Yeah,
I don't know.
True. That's a fair
We
point.
are working very hard on like bedtime routines and like nap routines, and we're really bad at that in general as parents.
Us too. Yeah.
So the last 2 weeks we've been working really hard. So our goal this week is to do mass during nap time to see if maybe we can focus a little bit.
Yeah, we've been doing prayer time, trying to do prayer time during nap time. So we'll do our Decade of the Rosary and our Bible verse and our Divine Mercy Chaplet. And sometimes that works. But what happened is the toddler, the only person who goes to nap time is the toddler. And so he knows that Ben gets to stay up to do prayer. So he now is adamant. He has to, and he's terrible. But I tell you, there's something, Ben has taken the Divine Mercy Chaplet on as his thing.
Cute.
And so he wants to lead like a Decade of the Divine Mercy Chaplet. And it's the cutest thing. Did I tell you this already? It is the cutest thing I've ever heard. For the sake of his sorrowful passion, have mercy. I mean, it's just so cute. Oh my gosh. It's so cute. I need to record it and sell it.
Yes.
Because that's life. No, it's so cute. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then when we do our intentions, I don't know why. Maybe I already told you this, but he always prays for Kenny Rogers. Always. What? I have no idea why. But he's always, who are we? Okay, for Kenny Rogers, for the repose of the soul of Kenny Rogers, we pray, because he is just adopted Kenny Rogers as the person whose soul he is praying for. I don't know why.
Nice.
Yeah.
Addie was kind of more introduced to prayer when I was pregnant this last time around, and so she still finds like for the baby and mommy's tummy to grow strong, something like that. Grow strong. Like she's here. She's too strong. Stop praying for this.
Literally in the other room napping.
She's literally too strong. I need you to stop praying for it.
Yeah. We're going to take a little bit of a pause on that, Mommy just finished being pregnant. Yeah. Yeah, totally. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who are coming to grips with the mass online. And, there's some families I've talked to aren't even doing it. They're doing a prayer service at home, which you can do. I mean, you can just read the liturgy of the word and do kind of an agape. And that's okay. I just think for us, we need to stay connected to the practice of going to mass every Sunday. And I want to have that as something that's a signpost in my kids' life, because I know that they'll go away to college and they'll be tempted to wander, right? But if this has been such a firmly planted signpost in their life, that will draw them back. So that is my desire, my hope. That's why we're doing it, and I think it's working, or whatever that means.
I just miss being at mass in community.
Yeah,
that's what I definitely miss, like hardcore.
Well, and I think for you too. I know my kids miss it too. They're missing Life Teen. They're missing Edge. They're missing that part. I miss, heck, I remember I have a good friend, Tony, at St. Martha's, who I haven't seen in forever. And the last time we went to mass as a family, the only time we went to mass as a family since Ben has had cancer, I saw him after. I'm like, hey, we're back. Life is getting normal again. And I can't wait to do coffee with you soon. And that's going to be so great. And we'll get together for like a date as couples. And nope.
Corona. And Corona
tide. So COVID tide. I think I'm gonna call it COVID, because Corona beer has stopped bottling because their sales have gone down so badly.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's the dumbest thing.
Yeah. That's true. I say drink the Corona, spit in the eye of the virus. Take that. So that's how you ward it off. You drink the Corona to fight the Corona.
What if that was a thing? That would be so
oh man, I want to start that. It's not going to give it to you. It's like, that's how you get over it. You build antibodies by drinking Corona beer. That's how you do it.
They've been onto something for years and we just didn't know it.
Yeah.
Matt worked as Beer Friday. So at 4:00 on Fridays, people take turns getting whatever for everyone. And so that last Friday before, it was when the governor said that they were going to be shutting down the businesses. They went and got packs of Corona. I thought really funny.
Yes.
So I did, when we did that. We actually did get a case of Corona for the time. And I was like, wow, this would be funny. Ha. I was like, no, it's not even that great. I'll be honest. I think it's not very good. The reason you put the lime in is because it needs the lime.
It needs the lime.
You can't drink it without the lime.
No, without that lime, it is skunky.
It's just not even an option. Like you don't have lime, I'll drink water.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey,
I mean,
go ahead, Vinny. One last
no, I
comment
was
on the
just
Corona.
yeah. I said I bought a case and was like, this would be funny, and then I'm still like, it's still not a great beer.
No, I regret it. I regret my choices. And I don't even drink. We have one like every other week, but every other week I'm like, we chose unwisely.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so another story here in the news that I wanted to touch base on because it's interesting. The tentacles of this thing are so crazy, right? Like every sector of our economy is being affected. I'm following some casting directors on Twitter. I don't know why, I just am, and the way it's affected that industry is interesting, and how they're grappling with just how do you make commercials, right? And so what they're doing is they're recutting old commercials and they're putting new voiceover with it.
Wow.
Whoa, right? That's
Okay.
the way they do it. But there was a story in the Huffington Post, which I feel bad I'm even quoting from a Huffington Post. And it's a Florida judge ruled that an ER doctor could not have custody of her child due to COVID-19 risk. I thought, wow.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a chance to take a look at that one?
I didn't see
Yep.
that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Essentially, you've got a custody fight going on here, a man versus his wife. The wife is the ER doctor. And it just seems so, and again, I hate news stories like this because you do not know the whole
Yeah.
facts of the case,
Right.
right?
Well, they don't even tell you like anything about the husband or the ex-husband. They're just like, she's getting her child taken away to the husband. Like they're not even
Right.
painting they're not even painting the whole story. I mean, granted, it's sad. I think it's a little like rash. And one of the points that she had made was like, if I was married,
No,
it
right.
wouldn't have been a big deal. Like,
But I know for a fact I've got doctor friends who are worried. I mean, they
oh
like
well, yeah,
I've talked to nurses at Ben's clinic where they're like, yeah, you're worried about bringing it home to your family.
yeah,
My sister-in-law is a labor and delivery nurse, and it is sort of a scary thing.
mm,
She can't see my father-in-law now because she's going in every day. She's got to deliver babies. Some of those moms are coming in with COVID symptoms, and and it is scary. And I've read articles about ER doctors who are living in the basement because they're worried about giving it to their family, or they're just not coming home in New York because
yeah.
they're worried about giving it to their family. And so it is a weird situation. It does seem a little bit, this one's a tricky one. That's
Intense.
not that
Yeah,
tricky. It just seems terrible. It's
It
just
just kind of
terrible.
paints the husband in a bad light too, because he only filed for full custody last week because of coronavirus. Like he's just trying
Right.
to like prey on her during this time.
yeah.
Like he's just
It
waiting.
sounds
Well,
it
it,
sounds dirty. Like
You know?
it sounds like he was a complete opportunist
Yeah.
in the
he
way they
might
picked.
very well have been. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Do you know? I just think it is a weird thing though to say that judges are ruling you cannot have. This is where there's this whole constitutional crisis that's happening right now,
Hmm.
and I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, right? But like, there's the very real truth is that our rights are being infringed upon in a way that has never happened before
Hmm.
because of this thing. We can't gather for masses. We can't go shopping. Our right to gather has been suspended. And that's a big question of why, how, and why, and when, right? And here's
Hmm.
another situation where someone's rights are being infringed upon because of this thing.
Yeah.
And is that right? Is that just? And who gets to make that call? And
Yeah.
now, does this set a precedent, right? Does this judge's ruling set a precedent so that now any doctor who's in a divorce situation can lose their children because they're going out and sacrificing themselves on the behalf of other people,
Yeah.
right?
Right. And my
That is a scary
question
thing.
is this like did he make that ruling to where like this is the case now? Like dad has full custody, not full custody until we can reassess after this is over? Because
I
that
Well,
think
would
it
it's a
says she's
temporary
trying.
be more
ruling. It is
fair.
temporary.
Okay.
Yeah. She says she's trying to fight the ruling.
Right. Now but again, so I don't know if you've seen the guidelines on how we're going to reopen our country that were published yesterday.
No, I
Um,
haven't read that yet. I know they came out, but I haven't read it yet.
yeah, so essentially what the federal government has come out and said that there'll be stages. And stage one, it would be after 14 days of a state or region has declining numbers of new cases. So you have to have like 2 weeks of declining numbers, new cases. Then they're going to limit the opening, which means essentially it's very limited. It's not much different than where we are right now. I can't remember the exact of this. But if you are not at risk, you can start going out to work with some social distancing. You can start going out and shopping, with social distancing. You can do other things that with the social distancing. If if that works, then they go to stage 2, which is people go back to work. You can start having public gatherings like masses or sporting gatherings or whatever. But it's a very, it's very staged. I guess what I'm saying is after reading it, it ain't happening anytime soon in
No.
places like New York or California.
No.
Or, and so this woman's custody of her child could be for a year. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? So it's a weird, troubling thing. I don't even know. I mean, I think there's some overreach. That's all I'm saying. I think it's overreach.
Mhm.
Yeah. I this is such a, yeah, I think there's some overreach. I would definitely agree with that.
And
It's
I
just
don't
a
know where I would
weird,
draw the line because it's still so like kind of murky in general, like what we should do and what we shouldn't do.
yeah.
So I think there's overreach, but I don't know where I would pull it
Yeah.
back to.
Because
Right.
it's the thought process, like in some sense makes sense, but Megan, there's so much we don't know that like the thought process makes sense, but the harshness of the ruling doesn't warrant what's actually going on.
Right. And I guess, let's put it this way. The child is not in an at-risk group,
Yeah.
No.
right? So what, but then, but if you're sharing custody and dad lives with grandma, who's, in an at-risk group, there's some tentacles there, but is that mom's fault? I think in an ideal world, and I think, where you would hope, well, one, in an ideal world, they wouldn't be divorced, right? Like,
Yeah.
divorce sucks. And I think that's probably maybe emphasize that point is what I think we should do here on the Everyday, our afternoon morning show. This is one of the reasons divorce sucks, because it puts you
Yeah.
in these weird situations. But in an ideal world, they would work together, right? Like it
Absolutely.
wouldn't
Not have
be
to
this
go file
weird,
a ruling because of it.
right? Just say, hey, I'm worried about our daughter. Oh my gosh, I'm so worried too. How can we set this up so you can be with her, but we know she's safe? Is there a way we can set up somewhere where she lives at my house, but you can come over and we can do the 6 feet thing, and maybe you guys can hang out on Saturday nights, or because I know you're so stressed out. Like there's like compassion. That, I guess that's
Yeah.
what's lost. Compassion is lost.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, I
that's what I
mean,
would hope.
even outside of just this story, like compassion has been lost. Even if you just go out for one thing, like you walk around, everybody's got masks on, but people look at you like, don't even come near me.
See, I
Like,
haven't. Yeah, I get that. I also have had a lot of neighbors waving, though. There's way more waving than we used to do. We're all
I mean, I
waving.
wave at my neighbors, but that's just my
Everyone's
landlord. So
Yeah, everybody's waving. I feel like, again, I keep saying this. It looks like Canada. I mean, people are walking
I
yeah,
agree.
everywhere.
I agree. And like Matt and I aren't really good at being like socially like, hey guys, like kind of thing.
As a rule, I don't like
Not our
people.
nature.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but now we're even just like, hey, how are you doing? Like to everyone walking by while we're doing our sidewalk chalk and like,
absolutely.
hey, what's your dog's name? And like Addie's out chit-chatting to everyone across the street, and none of us are really like that.
Right, right. Yeah, but I think there's just a normal. I wish I wish that we could formalize that. And I don't know how to say that, but like, if there's anything I'd like to see change in our culture, is that, right? That we continue to do that. We continue to go for walks.
yeah,
This conversation I had with Annie Hickman, that question of what do we put back into life? Like we've taken out everything, right? And I think and a lot of people are realizing my life was stupid busy and I didn't need it to be.
Yeah.
So what do I put back in on the other side? There are people who, like my brother and I were talking on the phone, and he said, you realize how dumb work travel is 90% of the time, right? We can just do this on a Zoom call, like or
People are
Google
doing
Meet.
it. That's
Yeah,
my favorite meme is like, I guess this meeting could have been an email because now everything
yeah,
is email and
yeah,
software.
totally. Or that flight I had to take to New York to have a 2-hour meeting. could have literally happened from home on a Zoom call. I didn't need to fly to New York and waste 3 days,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And, so will we add that back in? Or, working from home, how many people are learning, how many businesses are learning, hey, this works.
Yeah.
I hope they're learning that. I hope it is working, because like the average commute from here where we live is like an hour and a half. Well,
Yeah.
gosh, if people could just go to their office or go to wherever their home office is and get to work and not do that, and then have all the dumb meetings this way on like video conferencing, well, how much life are they getting back, right?
Mm.
Like, that's cool, so I hope that's our takeaway from this COVID-19, is that we can rebuild our lives in a way that makes sense and is healthy for our families and healthy for us. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely think when everything reopens, there's going to be a huge imbalance. It's going to be trying to re-find it again. I think everybody's got, at least for young adults, they're going to kind of go nuts. They're like, party, because they haven't
Maybe,
been with people
but
for
again, but the issue is it's not going to reopen like that. It's
yeah.
going to reopen slowly and gradually, and and that I think will be a challenge too.
Well, I think that's going to be
What
the challenge for a lot of the young adults, is that they're
Yep.
going to see the first flag down as like, let's go.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's
Oh
gonna,
yeah. Well, and again, they're not in at-risk categories, so
but just like people going home to their parents or whatever.
Yeah.
I know it's all those millennials living in their parents' basements. That's what it is. It's
Yes. Blame them.
Hey, speaking of unhealthy choices, it looks like this was a new coast-to-coast driving record was set amidst the coronavirus shutdown. This is one of my favorite stories I've seen.
Yes.
So a cannonball coast-to-coast driving record.
Was so stoked for this one because it's so, like, what an opportunistic moment. You shoot your shot.
Right.
You
So
win.
what this is a team of young men, I think, from what I gather from the article, and it would have to be.
It would have to be.
They said to have used a late model Audi A8L to make a run in 26 hours, 38 minutes, beating the record of 27 hours, 25 minutes set late last year. And that is a run from coast to coast. That is driving across
From
the
New
United
York to
States.
LA.
26 hours and 38 minutes.
Crazy.
Yes.
And but that is okay. So it's beautiful.
It
It's
really
beautiful,
is.
right? This is America. You see your shot, you take it.
This is what it's all about right here.
Right. And because so literally driving sleepy is more dangerous than drunk driving, because when you drive sleep deprived, you fall asleep, you micro sleep, right? And when you micro sleep, you're not delayed reaction like you would be drunk driving. You are no reaction.
No reaction.
Right. And so if you're going to do something crazy and stupid, do it when no one's on the road. There's no traffic.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's true.
Yeah. Have you ever done the cannonball driving where you've done like a stretch of days or like a drive or like an overnight or any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Steubenville?
What's that?
Like driving to Steubenville and back.
Yeah, totally. Just driving straight to Steubenville, no stops.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that overnight, and it was in the winter with Ashley and Anna, her mom. And it was December, and we're driving through the Rocky Mountains at 2 a.m, and everyone's sleeping, and it was my turn to drive, and it was the most horrifying thing I've ever done in my entire life. It was so scary. I was going like 7 miles an hour.
Yeah. I've never driven in snow before. Let's do it at 2 a.m. in the Rockies.
Yeah.
Like
while it's snowing, so you can't see in front of you.
Right.
A couple
what
friends
about you, Vinny?
A couple friends and I mean, it wasn't from state to state, but we booked it back from San Luis Obispo to Nuevo, and when normally that's like a 4.5, 5 hour drive.
Oh, that doesn't count. 4.5, 5 hours.
But it's at like midnight.
So how long?
Yeah, I get that. I did that once coming back from Sacramento with the Francis band. After we did an event in Sacramento, we left after the event and drove back overnight, and it's hairy. Overnight driving is hairy. There's no question.
I think that's as close as it's gotten, just because I don't like anytime I go out of state, unless we're going to like Arizona for Steubenville or a youth ministry conference, like most of the time we give ourselves enough time to not have to book it like that.
So I went to college in Southern California, and a big thing to do would be like, hey, let's go to Vegas. at like
Ugh.
11 o'clock on a Friday, right? Let's just go to Vegas, and yeah, cool. And then we would do that. And then we get there like, why do we do this? I'm tired. I want to go home.
Yeah.
I'm broke. Why did I do this? This was a bad idea. So then you have to drive back because you didn't have any place to stay. So you just like a round trip to Vegas, a Vegas round trip. So yeah, that was dumb. Again, it never, ever, ever lived up to the hype. It never lived up to the hype. It was always like, this is going to be amazing. We get there. We're like, no, it's 1 a.m. So no one is out. Right. And except for the desperate people at the slot machines. It was bad.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I feel like that's just everybody's idea of Vegas. So it's like, this is going to be great. Get out there and go, this was a terrible idea.
I'll tell you what, Las Vegas, I have a mixed feeling about Las Vegas. I do. I love the idea of going away with my spouse to a nice hotel where they have a fantastic pool and going and like hanging out at the pool and going to see a show. Like sounds great. I do not like the idea of a city where the streets are lined with pornography. And that there's
every
just
pool is like one of those pool parties.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and I haven't been there since that started, like the pool party thing.
I have not either.
No.
I've never been to Vegas, but I know a lot of people who go.
Okay.
General understanding.
I've had friends that have been like, let's go to Vegas for a birthday or something. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't want to spend my weekend walking around streets filled with everybody else and swimming in a pool that's basically people soup. No, I'm good. Thanks.
People soup is definitely a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not like going to the community pool. This is like there are hundreds of people in the pool all at the same time, and people are just drinking way too much. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm gonna go back to the room and sleep and introvert for a minute.
Hey, I'm going to change subjects because we are crushing in our time slot here. Have you guys done any baking lately?
I was just telling
Not
you
as of late.
that we made biscuits just now.
Well, there you go.
Was it Great British Baking Show style? Folding them in.
Nice.
It was Matt. I ate them. And he posted them on Instagram with the caption, and it is my responsibility to announce the winner of this week's baking challenge.
Nice. Now, when you say biscuits, Great British Baking Show style, British biscuits are cookies.
Wrong.
Okay.
I don't know what kind it is then. I don't know what they would call it. Biscuits for us.
Were they just biscuits for us? They're just like the tear them apart and really like really soft and cushiony. Yeah.
And there's the visible layers.
Visible. Oh yes. So
they're flaky.
Was there yeast involved? I think is the question we need to ask.
There was not, because you can't find yeast anywhere right now.
Which brings me to our next story. Nice segue, Megan.
Segue.
Did you know you can make yeast at home?
Okay, did you see how difficult it is to do that?
But
it's like not worth it at all.
So this was a story on boardpanda.com, which apparently is a website. And I think this is how desperate we are to find stories for the afternoon morning show with Board Panda. A biologist is surprised to see yeast being hoarded and decides to teach people how to make it at home. I got to be honest, when I read the headline, I thought this is a great way to get explosive diarrhea. That was really my first take. I feel like this is this is a way to feel bloated and uncomfortable because you've released some horrific thing into your body. So it seemed hard, Megan?
Yeah, like you have to get dried fruit and it was a lot of processes.
There was a part of it that sounded like, are we making liquor in our toilet? Is this prison wine? Is that what I'm doing?
Honestly. And he's like, is he waiting for bubbles? And I'm like, I don't want to wait for bubbles. That's right.
Terrible.
That means you have to start days out when you want to bake.
Yeah.
It was so the way this happened was a biologist started like a Twitter stream about it. And I'm looking at the directions and it is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is exciting podcast. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's a lot. Okay, let me there's multiple steps here in his tweet storm.
Specific steps. Like he didn't tell you how much of anything to put in.
Nope.
Yeah.
Just like grab some dried fruit, do some of this, splash some of that.
Well, I think it's not, okay, let me put it this way. I think it's not as complicated and maybe that's the whole point of this. Like if you need yeast, you can make it. It's a multi-day process, but it isn't brain surgery, as it were.
Yeah.
It's literally just letting nature do what nature does. Right.
I'm very bad at that. So maybe that's why it's
True.
difficult for me.
Well, yeah. And I think I do think there's a margin for food poisoning here that seems a little high for my taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A higher margin for food poisoning.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
you can really screw up what you're doing and make people sick with this.
That seemed like that would be my take. Although I have seen lots of people making like sourdough starters, right? That's been a thing,
Yeah.
which is essentially the same thing. You're just growing a specific type of yeast, right? For sourdough.
I have no idea what starter means. Everyone's talking about their freaking starter, and I'm like,
So
what's going on here?
It's basically the yeast solution that when you pour it into the dough, it actually helps it like rise. So it's like
Right.
the base catalyst to help the actual like rise of the dough.
Right. And sourdough, you're going to it's a specific kind of way you do that
Yeah.
to create that sour flavor in your dough. And actually sourdough bread tastes different depending on where it was made, because that yeast is going to be different depending on what's in your
Yeah.
environment. And that's, I think, why they say San Francisco sourdough is so good, specifically, like it generates the good sourdough yeast. I feel like that's the most talking about something I don't know about, as if I know about it,
Well,
I've done
I
in a
learned
while.
something just now, so thank
There
you.
you go. Or you didn't. And
Yeah.
that's the afternoon morning show.
I used to work in a bakery.
Did I or did I
Okay,
not?
so Vinny actually has knowledge of this. Vinny worked in a
Why are you
bakery.
talking about this, Chris?
Yeah.
I don't know, because
Well,
I
no,
like to
but
pretend I
so
know
like
things.
most of the time I did more of like the muffins and things like that, like the more pastry style stuff in the French bakery. But there were moments where I had to like pull starters out to get like bigger batches of like French bread and things like that that would go to Costco or Walmart or things like that. So a lot of times like I would get there at like midnight while one of the guys was actually like creating and building a starter that would be used the next like week.
Yeah.
Process.
So
There you go. So you can do it. It has been done for I think that's more the point. This has been done. This is how bread was made for generations, right? Like this is part of our shared humanity,
I wonder if
making
people will
yeast.
continue making bread after this.
What's that?
I wonder if people will continue making bread after this.
I don't know. I mean, I hope so, right? Because this is, I mean, full disclosure, we haven't made bread. Made bread, my probably. I got to bleep that out. My daughter made bread.
every time.
I know. My daughter made bread once, and it was gone like that. It was disappeared so quickly, and I have not been able to get her to make bread again. She made cake last night. She refuses to make anything that's not sweet.
We had sundaes this morning for breakfast.
You made what for breakfast?
Ice cream sundaes.
Oh, good Lord.
Rules are out.
Again,
no
with the
rules
bride
according to
sleep situation. It's been 3 nights of our certain goal. She met it, so she gets ice cream sundae for breakfast.
I love that. I love that.
Wow.
Now, I will say, okay, back to the yeast thing. I got 2 pounds of yeast from Sam's Club.
You did?
2 pounds. I did. Because we went to the very early morning. You can go if you have someone who's immune suppressed or if you're an oldster thing, and they do like they go in and they'll do your shopping for you, and then they bring it to your car. And so I did that, and we ordered yeast and they got it, so it was cool. So we have that yeast. Yeah.
Yeah, places like Sam's and Costco are pretty stocked up on stuff right now.
Well, that was a store that didn't make the lineup today, but dairy farmers are actually dumping milk because the demand is not there and prices have gone down so low. And even vegetable farmers are plowing under the fields because 45% of the milk production was going to restaurants and schools, and they're not taking it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, Costco is limiting how much milk you can buy.
Yep.
Right. So if you can only, and like my family, if we're going to drink milk like we normally do, that's like 5 to 6 gallons a week. Right.
What?
But we can only buy, oh yeah, dude, it's unbelievable.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to say like 2 gallons a week, which sounds
No.
Oh
Okay. Just cereal is like you don't even know.
Your family's, but your family's like a regular like cereal morning breakfast kind of family, right?
Oh yeah.
I've seen that food pantry. They're just cereal for days.
We had to make a deal with our second grader. You can wake up at any time you want to, go downstairs and watch as much TV as you want to, and eat it. Just don't come in and bother me. Just wake up. So he's waking up at like 5:30 and binging Pokemon and having like 2 or 3 bowls of cereal, and just that's the way he rolls. He's living his best life.
Nice.
Best life. Yeah. So, I'll tell you what, man. But yeah, we go through a lot of milk. But anyway, so that's happening, right? So that's a thing. That is very strange. It's a strange. The tentacles of the COVID.
The tentacles
I
of Corona.
frozen milk for the first time in my life. We had 3 gallons in the freezer. Came out just fine. I was really nervous about the defrosting and whatnot, but it's good. It's fine.
I've got 2 gallons in my freezer right now. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing that people did. Did you do that before this?
No. Oh, no.
Okay.
No. Can I tell you that this is going to be a weird observation that only a person who's had children can make? When you freeze milk, it looks like breast milk. Like, because I've only ever seen like frozen breast milk at this point, right? And it's kind of yellowish when you freeze breast milk, right?
It does. That's exactly.
Yes. And so then we froze our whole milk that we have, and I went opened up the freezer like, well, I'll be darned. I did not know that's just what, who knew? So just and so there's a part of me that opens up the fridge and I look and I see 2 giant jugs of breast milk, which is not what it is, but that's what it kind of looks like. So
I was making the observation to myself. I didn't say it out loud to anyone. So thank you for the validation.
I have apparently this is the afternoon morning show.
So what do you expect?
So hey, we have so many good stories to talk about this week. We're maybe going to go long, and that's okay because we can, and hopefully people are enjoying this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I am, and I don't care. So we have a great story here about a mutant enzyme. This is a really neat story. Should we go mutant enzyme or robot swarms? What do we want to do? Because both have the potential to destroy us.
I would say mutant enzyme into robot swarms, mainly because I have thoughts on the mutant enzyme.
They do. I love these technology stories. It's like it'll either be the best thing ever or it will kill us in our sleep. Yeah.
Usually
that was my one thing. I was reading this article, and so the basis of it is they've created this mutant enzyme that breaks down like the PET, like plastic, that when this enzyme breaks down like the soda bottle plastic and that lightweight but tough plastic that most liquids that we buy from the stores come in, it gets broken down and it either gets incinerated.
Right, that island of plastic in the Pacific, right?
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. This is the kind of stuff. It's all the water bottles that everybody's carrying around with them. Yes.
Yeah. But then they have there's a specific microorganism that they have taken that they found that over a certain period of time it'll break down that plastic into an actual reusable synthetic that can be put back into use again.
Right, because the problem with recycling is that typically it's very difficult to get a clean recycle, right?
Yeah.
And so you end up with sort of a gray plastic that no one wants to use, and so it ends up being incinerated anyway, right? And so what it does is it breaks it down such a way that you can then recycle it into component parts so that you can make clean plastic from it again. So it just revolutionizes the recycling process in essence. So continue.
But in order to do that, and also to get the process to speed up, because they said it takes how many hours or days for the enzyme just itself to break everything down. So they have mutated it.
Well, I just know that it's not to break it down. They literally use the word digest.
Right.
And that just makes me feel gross. So I just need to note that.
Well, by digesting it breaks it down.
The plastic.
Maybe it's because we're in this COVID tide, and more it is looking like this was created in a Chinese laboratory. I mean, that is more and more what the Washington Post just put that out there, that this very much China's story about where it came from is not good.
Yeah.
No,
and B, there were serious concerns about this lab. So anytime we're mutating enzymes to eat things now, this just sort of, in light of this,
this is how we get Pandemic 2 or zombies. Just all sounds straight out of a movie to me.
I just feel like, you'd be talking to somebody and all of a sudden they would just start disintegrating. It'd be sort of like the blip, man. It'd be like the blip. People just start fading, and they start going, that's my take. That's my take. Infinity War. Yeah.
Infinity War. No.
Just half of humanity suddenly just fades to dust because the mutant enzyme that was released that was going to save us has killed us all. Yeah.
That's
my
part. I don't feel well.
Yeah.
No, I've had my little tinfoil hat on with all this China stuff for the last 2 weeks solid.
Oh no.
Oh.
I'm just diving down the rabbit hole. It's not good for me, but I've been doing it.
What does this sound like out of Megan? What is this?
There's so much. It's so
I
easy
want
to
to
go
know.
conspiracy theory here because China is an evil empire. Period.
Link.
Yeah.
If there's any country that would birth Darth Vader, it would be China.
Well, I just they lie.
You said
I mean,
evil
we know
empire.
they lie.
My brain immediately
Yeah,
went
the way
Star
that
Wars.
was presented was that someone in like this small village ate a bat or whatever. But Wuhan is a big industrial city. It's one of their big ones. And like all of like the car dealership, like car companies have big places down there, like the technological, biological like city.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So of course they made it in Wuhan, where they had their huge biology place. Like it just makes sense.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's just this is just crazy. And then you can get down the conspiracy theories about our own government too, right? Like so we've got conspiracy theories about Wuhan, you got conspiracy theories about our own government, like this is our government and this is a new world order that's happening and we're all going to be, all of that. Man, it just you could go nuts. I think that personally is hard because you don't want to be the one who's like a sheep, right? I don't want to be sheeple.
Yep.
On the other hand, I don't want to lose my mind.
Yeah.
So buy guns. That's what I say. No.
I have to be completely honest. That was not what I was expecting you to say.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna jump. So we got mutant enzymes on the one hand, and then we have on the other hand, scientists have figured out how to 3D print insect-like robots in minutes. And I love this.
Someone tell me why.
Yeah, they can do it cheaply, quickly, and without using exotic equipment. The trick is to print flexoskeletons or rigid material 3D printed onto flexible, thin polycarbonate sheets. So the idea is that they can make robot swarms. That is a word they use in the article. So again, robot swarms that can accomplish tasks at least as well as large monolithic machines. So the idea is you could very quickly create a swarm of robots, then that could then create other things that would make a big machine to do. So like if I wanted to say build a building or make a car, rather than using giant machines, I would quickly print robot swarms that could go like and start building the things that I would want to do.
Big Hero 6.
I was just gonna say that.
Yes, it is. Yes. That's exactly right.
And then I was also thinking of The Mummy Returns with all those little beetles. They were like
beetles
forming everything.
Yeah. No, I think this is again this if the enzyme has the potential to eat us, I think this also has the potential to go bad. Like in Big Hero 6 is a great example.
Yeah.
This is where we're at.
We are
Big Hero 6
real life to Big Hero 6.
Right. But it's a great example because I don't think Hiro intended his creation to be evil, right?
No one ever does. Well,
no one ever does.
China probably does, but most people don't. Like people don't usually intend for it to be bad. They all think it's going to save the world.
No. Yeah. And that's not a hardware issue. That's a software issue, and you can't always track software.
Right. I mean, on the one hand, it is exciting to think that we could quickly produce robot swarms that could do complex manufacturing. Because if you can do that, I mean, then we're looking at the reality of a possible world without work, right?
Yeah.
And again, a world without work could be terrifying because that means there's no jobs, or it could mean that everybody, the idea of a universal income, right? Like in this new future world, you won't have to pay for groceries because groceries will be produced by robots and we'll all just share alike, right? I love that idea. That I think Vinny just got himself a beverage. I'm not sure what just happened.
I did.
I left and then made a loud sound.
Yeah, no, he just got coffee. It's cool. We're not doing a show here, Vinny. You just go ahead, do what you want. But so I love the idea of, the idea that life becomes automated. And what is man without work? I think that's scary. I think we.
Yeah. Another movie reference, WALL-E. It's a terrible idea.
She's pulling every reference you know.
I love it that Megan is the one doing that this time.
I know.
That is the best part about that. True. We do have the tendency to, we could become sled-like creatures on sleds. But what if our
Working is
work
good for you.
was what? Again, I will be the poet. What if our work was creating art and music and poetry?
But what about people like me who aren't creative? What am I supposed to do then?
Right.
I
Well,
don't know. Just keep going. I like the way this is sounding right now.
we do tend towards consumption. I think that's true.
Yeah.
And then if we don't have the ability to create, we just become consumers, and we're not very discriminating consumers. And yes, can I tell you, this is a side note too. And we got great stories. We got to get to these things. If you had a good virtual reality, did I talk about this already? Technology, I
No.
would want that. I have never thought about buying a virtual reality headset
Oh,
more,
I have some.
and since we started this, but you
You
have
really?
that?
Oh, it's downstairs.
Yeah.
You. It was
But like,
required for school. I watch counseling sessions, and I stand in my room and look around.
wow, that's
Whoa.
great. Oh
It's
man,
really
that's
fun.
cool. That'd be fun. I would love it. Okay, so I want virtual reality tech to be so to the point where you can go there with someone, right? So like if my wife and I wanted to go on a date, trapped at our home, we could be like, all right, where do you want to go? Let's go to Tahiti or whatever. And then you put your headsets on and then you can just hang out and do, or hey, how about we go on an adventure? We'll go we'll do National Treasure, but just us, you know? That would be
That's
cool,
cool.
right?
We'll do National Treasure.
That would be fun. That'd be great.
That'd be
Except
really
the
cool.
Masons are evil. That'd be great.
Funny
You know?
that that's like literally the second choice you came up with. Like that's high on your list.
We just read it. Good Lord. We just watched it
High
the
on
other
your
day.
list. You think about doing this often, don't you?
I did a week. I would love. I think about it.
He
all the
walks
time.
it. Chris often walks into a museum with his family and goes, "I bet I could steal that." Like,
I look at famous works of art and I'm like, I bet if I rubbed lemon all over the back of that, it would reveal a map. Yeah, that's true. That's they don't let me go to the Huntington Museum anymore.
Christina's like, "You brought a lemon? Are you kidding me?" Like,
Sir, you're gonna have to leave the lemon outside. I don't understand what you're talking about. This is for my lunch. I'm gonna make lemonade.
Today.
Sir, not again. Anyway. So have you guys ever seen this idea where your friends could send you on like a jet ride? You can pay money to go on like a
I have never seen this before.
No.
This is the thing. Okay, so my kids and I have been watching extreme sports point of view videos on YouTube, on the TV, and we will stand very close to the television to pretend we're doing a virtual reality. And okay, like
throw the blanket over the TV.
Oh,
Just like,
this has been great. Yeah, so my 8th grader and I, we've been doing this like together as a joke. So we did Splash Mountain, and we went to the splash and went like, and like I blew in her, we're kind of a little bit too wet. It was so funny. She's like, "Did you just spit on me?" Like, maybe a little.
I would love to just hear these stories
gosh.
from Christina's point of view.
Oh my gosh.
like
Yeah,
from the other room with
As
no
a
real
woman who has
context.
to watch this in her home.
Oh, have you seen like the guys who do the flying squirrel suits? And they will jump off of cliffs and like coast down mountains. I've realized just from watching the YouTube videos, I am not an extreme sports person. Like I'm just not. Like that's not.
You just realized this?
No, I've known it for a while. I just wanted to sound good for the radio for the show.
I
Thanks, Megan. Thanks for calling me out.
I would want to try the squirrel
Every
suits.
time I post something about skydiving, I get a huge all caps no from Chris.
Yeah, that's very true. That is my feeling about that. I just don't want any part of it. I don't want any part of it. Anyway, so there, I feel like there's one of my soul people. I don't know what's the word. Someone I relate to. Just a soul, a man. Anyway, this guy. So this guy gets a trip where his friends send him on a jet, and he gets to do like an extreme like jet ride. And I think he reacts the way I would react. He panics, he just starts freaking out, and ends up ejecting himself on accident at 2,500 feet.
Oh, there's
Fantastic.
so much that I love about this because first off, you have the guy that's panicking, and it's like, you think the first thing they would tell you when you would get in a plane is if you panic, just hold on to the seat in front of you, don't pull anything.
Yeah.
Don't.
Like you think that would be the first rule?
Like rule number
Here's
one.
a big don't touch this button.
Or how about
right?
don't do
Like
anything? You're a guest in this airplane. Hands to
yeah.
yourself.
Hands yourself. Well, I guess they have to have like in case of emergency, right? He should know.
I guess.
Yeah. but he was so scared he went to grab for something and accidentally pressed the eject button. According to the report, he was shot into the air and glided with a parachute before hitting the ground in a tumble near the German border, which also makes it better. He
His
invaded
helmet
Germany.
wasn't properly fastened.
Yeah.
Flew off.
This sounds like the movie Behind Enemy Lines.
Yeah.
Over near
Reference.
close to the German border.
It's not
Was he dropped in for a mission?
The last line just makes me think of the pilot. He wasn't seriously injured, and the pilot, who suffered minor injuries to his face during the commotion, was able to land the plane safely. I would love to sit down in a pub with the pilot and hear his relating of the story.
He goes home. He goes to his local pub with all his buddies. He goes, "You are not gonna believe this."
With like scratch marks on his face, just, brother, what happened? Oh, you're not going to believe the day I had today. This moron, he's in my plane, you see. He's smoking.
Hold on, I want to know what kind of plane this was, because if that means he pulled the ejection seat, that means the whole canopy, like the whole
canopy flew off. Yeah.
And
so you know this job I have.
Air.
I fly these rich yahoos around in my plane. You know this, yeah? This is what I do. And then this stupid moron freaks out. He starts grabbing my helmet. He's pulling on my face. I don't know what's happening, right? Just sit back in the back seat and wet yourself. Get on with it, But look at this. He shoots the canopy off. He's a moron. Anyway, I'd love to be there. Love to be there.
This somebody needs to animate that. Just that whole 30-second clip you just did.
Usually they just throw up in their helmet, right? Which is gross, right? But it's part of the job.
When I went skydiving, I was asking the guy who's like attached to me, like do people ever like throw up? Because then it would just like go on to you. And he said that's never happened to him, but he gets a lot of spit all over his face because everyone opens their mouth, like screams, the spit all comes out of their mouth onto his face. And like he gets a lot of bloody noses. Like people get bloody noses while they're doing it, and it gets all over him.
Oh.
Ooh, that's nasty.
So, because before we went, like I jumped out, I was like, just like holding my mouth super close. I didn't want to get spit on him.
Wow.
Not that I would do that anytime soon, because that doesn't make sense to me. But it's like why would you jump out of a plane with your mouth open? There's so many things you could catch. Like it just makes sense to keep your mouth closed.
Actually never.
I'm gonna stop your sentence at why would you jump out of a plane? That is what I'm gonna stop your sentence.
Yeah.
Why would you jump out of a plane? Period. That's where I'm at on that.
Fair. That's fair.
But people who do it say it's amazing. And Megan, how was the experience?
It was amazing.
Would you do it again?
I would do it again.
See, my favorite take, my oldest, we went on Space Mountain, and when he was young, and he was just big enough to get on. He's excited we do it, and we got out and we go, how was that? Oh, it was great. I loved it. Hey, do you want to go again? This line's really short. I don't ever want to do that again. That's how I feel about watching skydiving videos.
Okay, so I just Googled what this plane looks like. Yeah, the whole canopy would have to blow up, like to blow off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of a cool plane to go on a flight.
It's a cool plane, but the thing is that
sweet.
To get ejected out of that and then just be in that jet with like no windshield.
Yeah.
That pilot, man.
Well, hey, we have definitely crossed over the line of when we were supposed to be done with the show. We covered all the stories we had on the slate today. Yay! That's here for the afternoon morning show, everybody. So as always, this has been the afternoon morning show brought to you by Everyday Catholic. Everyday Catholic is a 501c3, and we depend on the support of listeners like you. If you're enjoying the show or any of the things that Everyday Catholic's doing, and if you haven't been to the site, check out the blogs and some of the episodes on our episode, or some of the clips of our episode on confession. We'd love it if you would join us with a monthly pledge. So, hey, thanks for listening, Vinny and Megan. It's been great, and we will catch you guys next time.